Greetings, math fans. All right, so this is chapter 7, and it's day 1. And basically, this chapter is we're going to talk about radicals. Okay, so radicals. And again, this is chapter 7. All right, so basically, the first day is using your calculator. All right, so what you need to do is there is a nice little friendly key on your calculator. So really, when you think of radicals, you should think of like the square root, right? Well, this square root, there's actually a 2 here. It's the square root, right? X squared, square root. You can have cube root, you can have fourth root, you can have fifth root. So there's a lot of different roots you can have. And if you recognize on your calculator, especially like the TI-30 X2, the one above the X squared, there's an X squared key. The one above that looks like this. It's got an X, kind of an X root like this. All right. So I believe you have to hit second this button, but just look for it on your graphing calculator. It's like close to the 7 button. It's either next to the left of the 7 button or up and to the left of the 7 button on your calculator. Okay, that's the root button. So it could be the second root, third root, fourth root, fifth root. But that's the button you want to use. So basically, if I have, and you guys should know, if I have the cube root of 8, okay, again, you're going to be using your calculator because we're going to learn other stuff later, but basically this is using your calculator. So if I have the cube root of 8, just type in your calculator and you're going to get 2. Okay, it's really a nice little handy button on your calculator. So it can pretty much do any perfect square root, cube root, fourth root, fifth root. So if I, type this, you guys should be typing this in your calculator as we do this. So if I said the fourth root of 625, okay, basically what that is you're going to type it in and you're going to get 5. Okay, pretty easy. So that's how you do with numbers. So let's kind of go a couple more things with numbers. If you have 0.09 and I do the square root of that, okay, again, you're going to put in your calculator and you're going to get 0.3. Okay, now you don't have to hit the 2. You can actually just hit the square root button if it's a 2, because that's what the square root is. It has no number there. It's automatically just use the square root button. But you can't use this button again. You just put hit a 2. So I really didn't say how to use that button. If I want to do the cube root of 8, you actually hit a 3, then you hit that button. I know I didn't say that. And then you type in an 8 and hit equals. So the 3 means the root you're doing, and then you take whatever root is of 8, and then you get 2. Okay, that's how you do cube root. So again, if I want to do this fourth root of 625, I type in 4. I hit that button, the the square root guy, and then I type in 625 and I hit equals and I get 5. Okay? If you guys have it as a fraction, most of these are going to be not decimal answers. Obviously, that one that you just saw me do, the square root of 0.09, well, that is 0.3. But they're all going to be, all our problems or all our answers are either going to be whole numbers or they're going to be decimals that don't go further out. In other words, you won't see 0.36921. Okay, it's always going to be a nice number. All right. So if you see a fraction, let's say you see this something like this, the cube root of 64 divided by the cube root of 125. You're going to do each of these separately, guys. Okay, you're going to do the cube root of 64, and if you type that in your calculator, you get a 4. And then you're going to do the cube root of 125, which is 5. And you're going to give me that answer. So here I don't want decimals, so no decimals. Okay, I only want fractions for these problems. No decimals really for any problems, unless, like I said, it starts out maybe as a decimal, then you're going to give me a decimal. Okay? It's the only reason why you do that. Okay? All right, so we're going to definitely get into more advanced problems as we kind of move on in this chapter. But this is a pretty basic one, just using your calculator, pretty easy. The only thing you can't use in your calculator, guys, is this. So if I actually have instead of numbers, I have variables. So if I have the square root of b squared, well, you guys should say the square root of b squared is just b. And let me throw a little stuff out here. B squared is the same as b times b. So if you have a pair of these, that's a perfect square. So the square root of b times b is just b, because that's b squared, right? So if I said the square root of b to the third times b to the third, that's b to the third. Okay, because if I have a pair is a perfect square. All right. So really, what we're doing here, guys. So let's do a couple more. So if I have the cube root of b to the 10th times b to the 10th, that's a perfect. That's a pair, and that's b to the 10th. The square root of that. So truly, what you do here, guys, if I'm doing a square root, think what b to the 10th times b to the 10th is. You guys should know that's b to the 20th. So the square root of b 20th is b to the 10th. So what you're doing, it's very, very simple. You're dividing that number by 2 because it's the square root. Okay? So what I mean by that is if I have a problem like b to the 8th, the square root of that, it's a 2 here. You're basically saying 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So the answer to this is b to the 4th. You take this number and you divide it by this number. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the answer is b to the 4th. Okay, so the square root of b to the 30th. Well, it's half of 30, 15. So the answer is b to the 15th power. Okay, it's really not that bad. So if I have, let's do 3 here, the cube root of b to the 12th. Well, again, you're going to take 12 divided by 3. So you're going to get b to the 4th. That's the answer to that problem, b to the 4th. Okay, if I do the 5th root of b to the 25th power. So 25 divided by 5 is 5. So my answer to this one is b to the 5th power. Okay, that's not bad, right? It's pretty easy when you have a variable. You literally just divide it out and you get your answer. So the only issue that I have here, math fans, is what happens if that's not, it doesn't go into it evenly. So let's do a problem like that. Okay, so what happens if I have something like the square root of b to the 7th? So what you want to do is, if it was b to the 6th, that would be easy. So you want to look for what is the number that 2 goes into that's less than 7. Okay, so basically, do you guys agree it's to the 6th power? So this is what I have here. Let me show you. I have b to the 6th, because that 2 goes into 6, and that's what I want. This has to go into, 2 must go into 6. All right, so b to the 6th times b, or b to the 1st, if you want to put, let's put 1 there. Do you guys agree that's b to the 7th? So really what I have is, I do 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So b to the 3rd comes out, and I can't do anything with this because I don't have enough. It's only a 1 here, so my leftover is b to the 1, or b, and this is my answer. Okay, so let me just do another one. So if I say again the square root of b to the 11th power, you're going to say, well, what number does 2 go into that's 11 or less? Well, it doesn't go into 11, but it goes into 10. So really, it's the square root of b to the 10th times b. This one I can do. That's b to the 5th. And what's left over? Just a b. Okay, you can put a 2 here. It gets the square root, but you don't need that. Okay, so let's do cubes. Again, not a big deal. You just have to know numbers that 3 goes into, the smallest number that 3 goes into. So if I do the cube root of b to the 11th. Well, what number does 3 go into that's close to 11? Certainly doesn't go in 11. Let's go down. 10. Nope. 9. Oh, yep. Goes into 9. So I have the cube root of b to the 9th times b squared. Do you guys agree? That, right? This equals b to the 11th because 9 plus 2 is 11. So let's do this one. What's 9 divided by 3? So I have b cubed. And this one you can't touch. It's the cube root of b squared. And that's your answer. It's not difficult. It's just you have to know what you're doing here. Okay? So again, you're looking for the biggest number that goes into up to 11. Up to 11. Okay, so let's do, how about the fourth root of b to the 23rd power? So what number does 4 go into with 23? Here's a little trick. You can always divide it. Watch this. If I do 23 divided by 4, okay, on your calculator, okay, you would get 5.75. So 5 is actually part of my answer, but think of it this way. 4 times 5 is 20. So I really have this, b to the 20th and b to the 3rd, because I need to get up to 23. So that was the fourth root of b to the 20th is b to the 5th. And then what's left over? The fourth root of b cubed. And that's your answer. Okay. Let's try another little, well, that's not too crazy, but let's try another one here. How about if I said the fifth root of x to the 21st, y to the 22nd, z to the 25th. Okay, so let's do it. Let's do each one separately. Do you guys agree? What number does 5 go into that's close to 21? Do you guys agree it's 20? So watch. It's the fifth root of x to the 20th and then x to the 1st. That takes care of the x part. Let's do the y. Well, again, it's 20. So y to the 20th, and what do you have left over? Y squared. And then that goes perfectly. So z to the 25th, I'm just going to write that, z to the 25th. That's perfect because 5 goes into 25. I don't have to do anything with it. So if I do that, the fifth root of x to the 20th is x to the 4th. The fifth root of y to the 20th is y to the 4th. And the fifth root of z to the 25th is z to the 5th. And then you put the leftovers in the inside. So there's still an x to the 1 left over. There's still a y squared left over. And there's no z left over. So this is my final answer. Okay? So you just get the hang of it. It's really not difficult, but you got to practice it, guys. Okay, so let's do one. This is kind of the big nasty one. It's got numbers. It's got, oh, before actually we do that, what's the cube root of negative 27? Just type in your calculator. Don't get fed up, or don't get crazy with negatives. You can take the cube root of negative 27, because remember, that's like saying negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. Right? Isn't that negative 27? So the cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. Or just type in your calculator. Okay? So negatives are actually pretty easy. Just be a little careful, right? If I said the negative cube root of 125, or negative 125, type it exactly how you see it. So negative of that, so you're going to use your calculator, type it in, and you should get positive 5. Because this is going to give you a negative 5, but you already have a negative outside of it, so it makes it positive. Okay? All right, last problem that has kind of everything on it. If I said, let's do the fifth root of negative 32, x to the 9th, y to the 13th, z to the 20th. Okay, you're going to do this on your calculator right there. This guy right here. Fifth root of negative 32. Okay, type that in your calculator and you should get negative 2. Okay, so I'm going to put the square root here, or sorry, the fifth root, and I'm going to do each one of these separately. So you guys agree x to the ninth is what's the biggest number that 5 goes into? It just goes into 5 because it doesn't go to 9, and 10 is too big. So this is really x to the fifth, x to the fourth. Y to the 13th is going to be y to the 10th, y to the third. Okay, because 5 goes into 10, and then there's 3 left over, and then the 5 goes into 20 4 times, so z to the 20th. I don't have to do anything with that. Okay, so notice that's here's x to the ninth, here's y to the 13th, and here's z to the 20th. Okay, so let's do that. The fifth root of x to the fifth is just x. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and the x to the fourth is left over. Y to the 10th, 10 divided by 5 is 2, so y squared, and I get a y cubed left over. 20 divided by 5 is 4, so z to the fourth, and there's nothing left over, so you don't write anything, and that's your final answer. It's negative 2 xy squared z to the fourth times the fifth root of x to the fourth y cubed. That's the most difficult problem I could possibly give you. It's got numbers, it's got variables, but it really isn't difficult at all, guys. Okay, just remember, whatever this is, if it's, to the fourth power, and it's, x to the 13th power, you're going to say 4 goes into 13 how many times? Well, it goes in, it's 4 times 3 is 12. So let me write it. It's the fourth, so it's x to the 12th, and then an x left over. So this one you divide. 12 divided by 4 is 3, and you have that left over. Okay? So that is not bad. Kind of just a good explanation of all the stuff with radicals. Definitely be getting into more difficult stuff, but this is kind of just a good basis. Remember, you can use your calculator for anything with numbers, but when it comes to variables, you got to do it by hand, so you can get the final answer like that. Okay, that's it, my fans. You have an outstanding day. Adios. Goodbye.